Welcome to Queensland. Before going to Queensland, we booked a river safari. I was really impressed with myself for thinking of a way to see a stretch of rainforest without having to hike, even though the boats are not wheelchair accessible. But it was so hot that the river water was 28 degrees Celsius and even the crocs didn't want to be out and about. The tour was cancelled and Whitsunday Crocodile Safari deserve credit for their honesty. Chris picked up a brochure with a crocodile on it, and we were lucky enough to be able to book a tour at Bredl's Wild Farm. They need at least 6 adults to run a tour with a maximum of 20 or so. There's loads of seating with only little bits of mild walking, so it was great for me except for the heat. It's about an hour's drive from Airlie Beach towards Mackey, so you really do need a car, but honestly you probably need one in Airlie Beach anyway. The Bredl Wild Farm tour usually takes 4 hours, including plenty of time to chill by the dam at the end. It's divided into roughly 4 unequal parts. First, cassowaries. Our main guide started the tour by saying how unjust it is that cassowaries are supposed to be the world's most dangerous bird, and then described in graphic detail how they've killed a man in the past. After that, he showed us his own cassowary scars and reassured us that they don't disembowel people at all. He said it's much more like getting stabbed by a 4-inch blade. Repeatedly. He chucked in some horrific tales of magpies killing people. It's absolutely true that magpies are the birds to fear in Australia. And then wound up the session by encouraging all of us, including a toddler, to feed the cassowaries by hand. It was awesome. With his permission, I touched one of the cassowaries on the back. It felt like my hair felt after 3 days of swimming and sweating without daring to brush it. Very stiff and hard. Somewhere around the first horrifying death, Tim retreated to the car and refused to get out. This is a family farm with several generations that have grown up with animals in their backyards, bedrooms, and even bathtubs their whole lives. They really, really know their stuff and can answer any question you ask. They're also an excellent example of Australian culture. Funny, friendly, relaxed to a slightly terrifying degree, and instinctively knowledgeable about Australia's famously deadly animals. What are you doing? The second part of the tour took place in a big grassy field bordered by the dam, with a nice shady area where we could feed and interact with a mixture of ducks, geese, swans, peacocks, goats, deer, kangaroos, and emus. During that part of the tour, we could also pat this gorgeous wombat. The fur is dense and springy, similar to a kangaroo or a koala's fur. The emu's feathers are soft, like baby fern leaves. Tim refused to leave the car, so Chris and I took it in turns to stay with him. After that, we piled into the safari truck for the crocodile show. We stayed in the truck and it stopped at several crocodile enclosures. There is metal mesh on the side of the truck as well as metal fences, somewhat chewed in places, around the crocodile enclosures. I stood on a seat and leaned directly over this crocodile, who noticed I was within a couple of meters and took a half-hearted go at me. The tour guide immediately drew the crocodile's attention back to him, clearly one of the many subtle safety protocols that they have in place, but of course I was thrilled beyond words. Tim got over his fear and admitted that the crocodiles were pretty good. Want to see that attack again in slow motion? This croc is over 5.2 metres long and still has plenty of growing years, so there's a decent chance he'll become the biggest crocodile in the world. The guide demonstrated over and over that crocodiles are invisible under the water, but will strike when the water is disturbed. He even did a small hunt with himself as bait, showing that a crocodile will invisibly follow you as you walk along beside the water and place itself perfectly to strike the moment you decide to get a drink. If I have one piece of advice for anyone travelling in the tropics, it is this: don't go in any water unless a local tells you it's safe.
So here, 65 to 100 million years unchanged. They've gotten good at it. They haven't had a need to change. That's why they haven't changed. Things change and evolve out of necessity. You are not cutting it. You start changing, and if you don't change, what happens? You go extinct. You know, and this fella here, he hasn't had to change. Good at what he does. Very simple, but highly effective.
It's shocking how small a patch of water can sustain an adult crocodile, and even more shocking how impossible it is to see a crocodile until it's too late. The final part of the tour takes place beside the beautiful dam where you can sit and relax while the staff bring out a fabulous selection of animals to hold. Lizards, snakes, a koala, and of course a crocodile and alligator too. So, how did it feel to pat a baby alligator? So it was okay? What was did you like seeing the really, really big crocodiles? Tim was having so much fun by this stage that he held both the crocodile and the alligator.
You know, just put your hand like that flat and go like that.
I'll give you another boiled lolly if you hold it, but you don't have to. He also ate crocodile meat for the first time while we were in Queensland and liked it. I thought he would, as it really does taste just like chicken, with a denser texture.
It's heavier.
There are narrow metal steps up into the safari truck, but otherwise the tour is quite accessible as long as you can handle rocky or grassy ground with a slight slope and a fair bit of cow poo, dog poo, etc. People who are hard of hearing or have low vision should be absolutely fine, although if you're hard of hearing, it's worth placing yourself near the guide and letting them know what they can do to help you enjoy the tour. You also need to bring your own lunch, ideally in an esky or cold bag, which can be tricky to organise while travelling. Bredl's Wild Farm was a massive highlight and I can't recommend it enough.